Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Richard Brock. This is my semester-long project for the Orange Airport for the safety program management class at Southeastern. So this airport has 200 employees. Um, they're consisted of operations and passenger staff, security, finance and marketing employees, engineering and maintenance, and then marketing and human resources. For this airport, there was a list of 300 near misses produced over last year, um, and we're going to go over all the data from that. So this slide here is total incidents by the day of the week. As you can tell, the weekend is the slower portion of near misses, and that could be for many different reasons. So that could be for less employees on site reporting near misses. That could be from less people in the area, less people in the airport. I would assume that during the weekend there'd be more flights. Maybe the employees are busier, not able to view or see as much as they would on the weekdays. As you can tell, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the levels are a little more elevated. Your highest peak would be on Monday at 59 incidents. This could be that employees are coming back from a long weekend and they are tired or have other things on their mind, or maybe just have the Mondays and are not just giving that much thought to work. So yeah, that's that slide. So this next slide is the total incidents by the time of day. As you can tell, by at 12 a.m. we see an increase of near misses at 29. 1 and 3 a.m. we have 1 and 2 near misses. 5 a.m. we see a little bit of a spike again at 15. 6 and 7 a.m. we have 6 to 5. And then we see our largest jump at 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning. This may be due to having your early flights have already taken off. More employees able to observe things. More employees coming in to work. So you may see a increase in that. At 10 a.m. you have a decrease as well, and then back again at 11, another increase, and then it kind of stays steady until 4 p.m. and then from 5 to 7 we have a slightly reduced number, but still steady with 11, 11, and 14. And then at 8 and 10 p.m. Our numbers are reduced down to 2 again. Kind of like 1 and 3 a.m. So the time, the incidents per time just kind of definitely fluctuates. So this slide here is kind of interesting. It tells us our total incidents by month. And as you can see, January and February start out at 15 incidents both per month. And then in March it jumps up to 20. And then we see our high peak at 40 in April, and that drops down to a little bit to 30 on May, and then it pops right back up to June and July at 40 as well, and then August and September come back down to 30. And then in your holiday seasons, where I would think that you would see an increase, you're actually seeing a decrease, and that may be due to having a busier your airport's going to be busier at those times of the months and the holidays. So you're going to see more travelers. So you're going to have busier employees, hopefully not having as many incidents. Or maybe the safety team were busier with doing flights and dealing with passengers and other things like that they weren't able to um, be able to view as much on the employee side. So, and then this slide here is incidents by type. So as you can see, exposure to others was our highest one at 53 out of the 300 near misses for last year. Ergo followed up very closely by with 48. And then falls not too far behind that at 38. For an airport that has multiple mobile equipment, 34 right below that. And then tools and equipment, 27. PPE came in after that with 24. And then exposure to temperatures was right behind that with 14. And then you see chemicals at 10, electrical at 9, culture at 8, falling parts at 8, material handling at 7, walking working surfaces at 7, insects at 4, fire at 4, burns at 3, dust with 1, and then BBP cleanup with 1. And then, as you can tell, lockout, tagout, excavation, emergency prep, and line breaking are all zeros. Being that this is an airport, exposure to others is high. We had a lot of incidents with unruly passengers causing near-miss injuries to employees, to flight attendants, to clerks. So we did see quite a few exposure to other near misses. Another thing, ergo is very high. That's something that can be corrected with a proper ergonomics team to be able to make those adjustments as needed. And then we saw a lot of near misses where there was risks of falling, slip, trips, and falls. Those can be corrected as well with from proper and repairing of pavement and walking paths and signs and different things that can help that out. So definitely something that the safety management team needs to get involved in to help reduce these numbers and these levels. So again, as we stated before, that this airport has a employee number of 200, and there was a safety committee formed of 5 employees, and this slide here notates whether the near miss was reported by one of those 5 members, and those are labeled as the group members, or whether it was labeled by another employee that wasn't part of the group as a non-group member. And you can tell that 218 of our near misses were reported by a non-group member, meaning that it was somebody not from the safety team. And that's excellent. You see that everybody is getting involved in safety incidences. They're able to see it, notate that it was a near miss, and report it as needed. So seeing that they're not all just from the group members is a good trend, something you want to see to show that you are showing that culture of safety for the group. So this slide here just shows our near misses and our recordables per month, and that's another slide that we had earlier showing our near misses for the month, but then we also added in the recordables. So in October, November, December, February, January, and March, we also had a recordable for each one of those months on top of the near misses that we had. So We'll go over those shortly, but those recordables were notated in those months as well. So this slide here goes throughout it explains the occupational incident rate by month. So we knew that we had a recordable in January and in February. So with those, that increased our numbers to 6.51, and after those 2 months, it starts to slowly drop down until we hit September, and then we start to see where our 4 later months, where our recordables come into play on September, October, November, and December, and it starts to jump back up. So we see that, again, our incident rate's higher, and this is between all the hours of all employees. We can form this graph to kind of see where our incident rates sit at. And as described before, when an incident happens and we have a recordable, that incident rate will never go back down to 0. So you can see how it, throughout the year, it starts to slowly go down, but it will never hit 0. But then unfortunately, we had more incidents come up in the later parts of the year that allowed that number to increase again. All right, so here is our the higher scoring on the near misses for the entire year. If you can look, you can see each safety disciplines down at the bottom, and then the amounts are labeled per green, yellow, and red when it comes to the higher scoring. And as we all know, the different levels in the higher scoring for green, yellow, and then red, which is negligible, tolerable, and intolerable. As you can see, for fall, it's increased. There's 15 for intolerable, 3 for tolerable, and then 20 for negligible. And then for tools, equipment use, we have 15, 6, and 6. For burns, we have 0 for negligible, 3 for tolerable, and 0 for intolerable. PPE, we have 19 for negligible, 5 for tolerable, and 0 for intolerable. Exposure to temperature, we have 14 for negligible, and then 0 for the rest of them. And then exposure to others, we have 51 for negligible, 1 for tolerable. Electrical, we have 2 for negligible, 1 for tolerable, and then 6 for intolerable. Culture, we had 8 for negligible, and material handling, we had 3 for negligible and 4 for tolerable. Dust, we had 1 for negligible. Falling parts, we had 2 for tolerable and 6 for intolerable. Walking surfaces, we had 3 for tolerable and 4 for intolerable. Chemicals, we had 3, 3, and 4. Insects, we had 3 and 2, and then mobile equipment was where our highest peak was. It was 7 for negligible, 3 for tolerable, and then 24 for intolerable. We had several incidences of mobile equipment with possibilities of causing some pretty severe accidents. Something that this company really needs to look at and make adjustments to their driving program and make changes on how they do that, because that is definitely something that's going to get them in a lot of trouble. So Ergo, again, was another high one. Bloodborne had 1 negligible, and then Fire had 2 negligible and 2 tolerable. So on this one here, this is my fishbone diagram on one of my near misses. This was my highest one on the higher score, and it was somebody that tipped over a luggage cart. Fortunately, they did not get hurt on this. It was just a near miss, but the possibilities of them getting hurt was extremely high. They actually hit a curb and tipped over the luggage cart because the luggage cart was filled too high. So a couple of things on the fishbone diagram I got noted here. Speed. What are the posted speed limit signs? Was the employee following the posted speed limit sign? And then can the luggage carts be set to a certain speed so one cannot exceed? Do they have a governor so that way they're not tempted to be able to go over the speed limit to where they can cause injuries to themselves or others? And then surroundings. Was the worker paying attention to his surroundings? Are the curbs marked with high visibility paint to prevent from being hit? And then another thing we can do is require two people to make sure that we're able to watch all the surroundings, make sure we're not hitting anything when we're backing up. That person that's the spotter can spot them, make sure they're not going to hit anything when they're backing to cause more issues. And then now the load. Is there a recommended size load to prevent the cart from tipping or from being overloaded? This is something that we can look at the manufacturing guidelines or contact them. Can a rack be installed to prevent luggage being loaded on too high? This would help in the tip over process to prevent it from being tipped over. And then does the company have a training program for workers who are driving the vehicles? This is something that's very important that they need to go through proper training, retraining. And then when incidents like this occur, is there a guideline on how to retrain these individuals? How often are they required to take the training program? Is this an annual thing? Do they have to have retraining every year, every 6 months? These are good steps to take to make sure that injuries like these don't happen. Are there any other requirements set to drive company vehicles? And then mechanical. Is it something that the steering wheel on the vehicle wasn't operating correctly? And then when was the last time that the cart had maintenance completed on it? And then the last thing, weather. Was it raining? Was it hard to see the curb? Did the sunlight make it difficult to see the curb? So just kind of the things to look at and see, and the kind of the corrections we can do to prevent this from happening again. So this one here, this is the total cost for the top 5 near misses I had listed on the higher scoring. This one, the top one, number 1, was the outside maintenance crew was planting trees when a speeding motorist plowed through the barricades and nearly missed the men and came to a stop just before plunging into the dug hole for the first tree. So this was multiple injuries, physical injuries for 2 employees being struck, so it did get doubled. The indirect cost was $269,890. The direct cost was $245,890, and then the total cost for this one would be $515,246,000. Number 2 was an employee who was working outside when a freak storm came up, blowing things everywhere. The wind blew down a sign which landed within inches of the employee. When the warning sign sounds, go inside. On this one here, would have been physical injury as well. The indirect cost was $60,028. Direct cost was $54,571, and then the total cost was $114,599. On this number 3, Number 3, an employee lost his balance and slid down the roof, but caught a hold of the eaves and was stuck dangling there until another employee heard his screams and brought a ladder to get him down. This could have caused multiple injuries when he fell. The indirect cost of this would have been $60,341. The direct cost would have been $54,856. And then the total cost of this was $115,197. So to finish off my top 5 near misses, number 4, an employee was riding a luggage cart and hit a curb where the cart tipped and almost rolled over. He was going faster than recommended for the top-heavy vehicle he had. The indirect cost of this was $73,703. Direct cost was $67,003. The total cost was $140,706.